Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6. Proper notice was sent to the official newspapers of record, filed with the clerk of the Township of Bridgewater, and posted on the municipal bulletin board in the municipal building and municipal website on January 13, 2023. Please be aware of the Planning Board policy for public hearings. No new applications will be heard after 9:30 p.m., and no new testimony will be taken after 10 p.m. Hearing assistance is available upon request. Accommodations will be made for individuals with a disability pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, provided the individual with the disability provides 48 hours advance notice to the planning department before the public meeting. However, if the individual should require special equipment or services, such as a cart transcriber, 7 days advance notice, excluding weekends and holidays, may be necessary. I'd like to have everyone please rise to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Probst, could I have a roll call, please? Here.
Good evening, here.
Will be absent for the record. Mr. Magora?
Here.
Here. Mr. Wang?
Here.
Mayor Mensch and Mr. Genova absent. Mr. Pappas absent. Mr. Banga? Absent. Ms. Charterwich?
Here.
Mr. Van Eck will be absent as well. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Probst. If there are any members of the public that wish to address the board on any matter not listed on tonight's agenda, please feel free to come forward at this time. Hearing none, seeing none, we can move on. We do have a set of minutes up for approval this evening. They're for September 19th, 2023. Are there any comments or suggestions or changes for the record? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve these minutes.
I'll make motion.
That's Ms. Sikora, and I'll take a second, please.
I'll second.
It's Ms. Charterwitz. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Vessia?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Magora?
Yes.
Mr. Cora?
Yes.
Mr. Wang?
Yes.
Ms. Charterwich?
Yes.
Moving on, we do have a few resolutions this evening up for adoption. The first one is a NYS MSA Limited Partnership. That's the Verizon Wireless Tower. Are there any changes to the record or any comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adopt this resolution.
I'll make a motion.
That's Ms. Sikora. Second, please.
I'll second.
Ms. Charterwitz. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Vessia?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
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 Ms. Cora?
Yes.
Ms. Charterwich?
Yes.
And my records show Mr. Wang was absent, so that's everyone.
Okay, next up is a resolution for Kumar Realty, also known as 386 Van Holten Road. Any comments by the board? Otherwise, I'll take a motion for adoption. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I will make that motion to adopt.
That's Mr. Magora.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I did not, and I may have missed it. There was an agreement made regarding the square footage.
Right.
Is that in here?
Yes, it's in there.
It is? All
I
right.
can't remember, I couldn't remember it says 40.
So the square footage on 9,
I think it's under item 11.
thank you. Sure, 11 at the bottom.
It was on page
No.
number 9 on page
Was there a revision?
5.
Well, if you look at, if I may, condition 7, residences shall not exceed 4,300 square feet in living space.
And it on,
Yep, thank you. I'm good with, I'll second.
I think what
Yeah,
we're
you're right.
doing. I kind of go through the whole narrative of,
Yes,
That's Councilman Ring for a second.
thank you.
And roll call, please. Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
Mr. Magora,
Yes.
Yes,
Mr. Banga, sorry, Ms. Charterwich,
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we have one last one here for Crawford Customs LLC. As the board recalls, this was for an extension of approval for a subdivision. Are there any questions or comments, or change the record?
You're
Yeah.
looking at me. So, yes, thank you. So, and I realized there was another version circulating, but as I read this, this was granting an additional 6-month extension. And the minutes which we approved tonight was that we were revising the prior resolution and going from 6 months to 12. And I don't, semantics of words, but I believe there's also whether or not they have to file additional paperwork for a new extension, et cetera. Based upon the minutes, it was, we were changing it from 6 to 12 months by amend the resolution to create a 1-year extension, not the 6. And Mr. Peck confirmed this would be a continuation of the previous application.
And it is.
Okay.
I can say that because you see it has the same application number as
Okay.
the prior ones and all that. And you did reference some further revisions, which I did send out early yesterday evening. And the primary revision is that the request was to conform a resolution to a 1-year extension instead of a 6-month.
Okay.
So I think we're right. I think the main thing is that it expires December 31
Okay.
of 2023.
So they got 2 months to,
They have 2 months left. My understanding is that they're closing on Thursday.
good.
So we get this signed and over to them. I think they're finally.
As long as we're all
out
comfortable
of
with that
Nancy's hair,
language.
You know, yeah.
I don't know if it's tomatoes, but I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? With that, I'll take a motion to adopt this resolution
So moved.
As amended,
as amended.
so it would more accurately reflect what happened.
That's Councilman Ring.
I'll second.
Ms. Sikora? A roll call, please. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Magora,
Yes.
Yes,
Mr. Banga, Ms. Charterwich,
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Probst. Okay, moving on to our application portion for the evening. We do have one application here, and that's for Target Corporation, Block 350, Lot 3, also known as 200 Promenade Boulevard. Who will be representing the applicant this evening?
Good evening, I will. My name is Amy Santa Maria. I'm with the firm of Kaplan Stewart, Mellor, Frieder, and Stein, and I represent Target Corporation in this application for expansion of their drive-up program at their store in Bridgewater Township.
Good evening and welcome. And who will you have testifying this evening?
My witness is Ben Mitzman. He's a professional engineer.
Good evening.
Are you ready to proceed with your witness?
Yes,
Okay, would you please stand, raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give in connection with this application will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Ben, B-E-N, Mitzman, M as in Mary, I, T as in Thomas, S as in Susan, M as in Mary, E, N as in Nathan, N as in Nathan.
Great.
may I proceed? Do you want me to stand?
Just as long as you can be heard.
Okay. If he's standing, I have to stand.
Does that microphone work okay?
Yes. Is that fine? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Mitzman, can you tell the board your qualifications?
Yes. So I'm a professional engineer, currently licensed in the state of New Jersey. My license is active and current and good standing. I've been employed with Kimley Horn and Associates at 301 Carnegie Center Boulevard in Princeton, New Jersey, Suite 202, for the last 9 years. I've been licensed in the state of New Jersey for 5 years and licensed as a professional engineer for 5 years. I've also provided testimony at various boards throughout the state.
Does the board have any objection to Mr. Mitzman's qualifications? Hearing none, please proceed.
And you are proceeding as an engineer only, as an expert?
Yes, as a civil engineer.
Thank you.
If it pleases the board, I'm going to let Mr. Mitzman start with his presentation of our application, and then obviously I can answer any questions.
Great. So I'd like to start with C 0.1, please. That is the site plan, and I will speak to the existing conditions of the site. The site is located at 200 Promenade Boulevard in Bridgewater, Block 350, Lot 3, on about 11.36 acres. The application does not propose any change of use to the existing development, and the existing use is permitted per the zone. Currently, there are 681 parking stalls on the property, as approved per the 1997 original plans. The application proposes to change that by way of reconfiguring the parking for the removal of existing drive-up spaces and the relocation of those with some addition. The existing parking lot generally drains to where you would see plan north. To the left of the page, it goes to, bless you, the south of the page. And this application and proposed changes do not change any of the drainage patterns associated with the site currently. To the north is the existing Home Depot. To the east is Route 287. To the south is Main Street, and to the west is Promenade Boulevard. There is a bit of grade differential on Main Street. I know one of the questions that we received from the board professionals was in regard to the beacons that are going to be proposed on site and whether you would be able to see those from Main Street or Promenade. You would be able to see into the site as you get to about this location on Main Street. And as you come around onto Promenade Boulevard. The existing stalls for the drive-up program are located here, pretty much centered between the two main access points to the target. There's 12 stalls there for the drive-up program existing, and we are proposing to convert those back to 9.5 by 18 stalls per the minimum requirements for a parking stall. And that will be 18 standard stalls back in that location. We'll be removing the existing striping there by sandblasting. There will be no repaving associated with that work. There is an existing beacon, which is self-contained, and that is solar powered. That's about 12 feet tall, and there's the solar panel on top of that as well. The top 4 feet of that is illuminated, and it is 1 foot wide for a total of 4 square feet per side, where the ordinance allows for 3 square feet, so we're seeking relief from that requirement. That existing sign will be relocated to the new parking area towards the north. And that is, in summary, well, there was another comment regarding the team member drive-up door, which you'll see at the north end of the building. There was an application that was submitted to the board for the Target remodel back in 2021. As part of that application, I don't believe that there was, it necessitated the need to appear before the board to get those approved and for permits to be pulled. I believe on the cover page of that as scope of work letter C, that referred to providing that man door or the team door and also a sidewalk extension from the existing sidewalk to the building. The purpose being for that is, as part of the remodel, the drive-up program and the staging area internally for those goods is positioned at the northern part of the building, or plan left, which correlates better with where that man door was. Previously, they had to traverse through the interior of the building to the main entrance and then come out that way. This now gives them a dedicated area, which is actually operating. I was over there about half an hour ago, and actually witnessed somebody coming out and walking along the front and passing through to the existing stalls. As far as the existing conditions, that pretty much wraps that up. So I would like to move on to the next sheet and talk through some of our proposed changes, which will be C 1.0. So as I mentioned before, the existing parking stalls for the drive-up, we're removing those, and we are returning those back to the original condition, 9.5 by 18, and maintaining a minimum 24-foot drive lane at each side of that parking area. The relocated area, again, maintains 24-foot, at least 24-foot wide for the drive aisle, and as part of the parking configuration, we're proposing changing 30 existing standard parking stalls into 22 total drive-up stalls. Within that area, there are also 6-foot aisles that are proposed in between the drive-up stalls for ease of loading the goods into people's vehicles. There's a 4-foot striped out area at the head of the parking stalls, which allows the team member to get back and forth between the store and the new spaces. We're proposing through the center, the curb island here, a 4-foot curb cut. As part of that, we'll be replacing that curb with Belgian block. That's what's out there today, so that will be the new curb that's put back. There's an existing tree there that will need to be removed. As part of the proposed improvements, we're proposing 6 spreading English yew, which get to about 3 feet tall at maturity if you don't maintain them. There's no issues with sight lines or anything like that. From a traffic perspective, we're proposing stop control across the drive line. We have the stop striping here and a stop sign and another stop striping and a stop sign. And then also the stop for pedestrians and crosswalk signs that you can kind of move around in the center aisle, and crosswalk striping there as well to a new ramp. And then that correlates to the existing location of the 8-foot wide sidewalk extension to the team member door. Additionally, we're proposing to, as I mentioned before, relocate the 12-foot beacon to either this location here or this location here. But regardless, there will be the relocated one and then one new one. From a lighting perspective, those will be on the same schedule as the rest of the lights for the development. So they'll come on once it turns to dusk, and then those will go off or be dimmed down with the rest of the lighting for the site. The light poles that are proposed here are 25 feet in height. Those will match the remainder of the parking area as far as style and color goes. We're proposing 2 of those. Those are to help further illuminate the site and provide for additional site safety for the team members as they're approaching strangers' car doors that they're not aware of during the nighttime hours. Those are 4,000 Kelvin in LED. Based on the photometric analysis that we performed, we were given existing data from Target and plug that into our analysis to put together the foot candles and show that we are compliant with the 1.5 average requirement, and also showing a amplified foot candle area within the new drive-up stalls. Again, from a drainage perspective, we're not looking to change any of the grading. Everything will match. We'll sandblast the existing striping, replace that with the new striping per the detail. It'll be a red color. And then we're not adding any additional drainage, and we're not repaving this area. And there are, for signage, in addition to the 2 stop signs and the stop for pedestrians and the crosswalk, we're proposing 11 stanchion signs, which measure 6 feet in height and are affixed to the ground via anchor bolts. We're also seeking relief from that square footage as well. The signage area for those are 2 feet high by 2.5 feet across for a total of 5 square feet, where 3 square feet is allowed per the ordinance. We did receive a comment from the board professionals in regard to providing additional information on the plan or on the sign itself, based on the target standards, and what is provided on the sign provides enough information for the person showing up and also for the employees within the store to know where that person is located and in what stall they're in. So that sign has the stall number and also reminds the person that shows up to access the app to inform the store which number stall they're actually in. So from an overall parking count perspective, what we had shown on the plan was a reduction of 2 spaces by way of converting the existing from 12 to 18 for an increase of 6, and then a reduction from 30 to 22 for a decrease of 8 for a net decrease of 2 parking stalls. One of the comments we received from the board professionals was that they would like us to provide a parking calculation considering that these stalls would now not be inclusive of that parking count, and also not to include any of the cart corrals on the project. Prior to the meeting, we had circulated a quick exhibit. I don't know if we need to mark that in. I don't have it up here, but you have it at your seats.
We'll call this A1.
Great,
We'll call it the cart corral exhibit.
thank you.
It's like a Disney ride almost.
So what you're looking at up there is a more recent aerial, which also shows the density of the parking, which tends to be more in the center of the building. And also, there is quite a bit of parking being utilized at the south end of the building, which I believe was one of the other comments that we had received as to the location of where we're proposing the stalls. I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. So the overall calculation that we looked at was looking at the previously approved plan from 1997, which allowed for 681 parking stalls. 4 of those stalls on there, which is not inclusive of the 681 number, are cart corrals. From that point forward, in the existing condition that we have today, there is an Electrify America charging station, which is located at the south end of the parking field, as designated, I believe, in the, apologize, I don't have the colorization, it's green, right? So those are counted at a 2-to-1 ratio, so there would be an additional 3 that go towards the parking count. We then took a look at where those existing or the previously approved cart locations were supposed to be on the plan, and those are designated in red. In blue, we actually looked at the aerial and saw where the cart corrals are today in the existing condition, which is a total of 17 parking stalls. So just doing the math there, we end up with a total reduction of 38 parking stalls to take us from 681 down to 643, where 544 are required per the ordinance. And if that isn't exactly clear, I'm more than happy to kind of walk through that a little bit more.
Sorry, again, the total reduction was 38?
38. And again, that's incorporating in our +2 that we would get from converting the existing to standard.
So
+6, I'm sorry.
the chart at the top, if we purely these numbers, parking counts previously approved, 681, revised 655, I'm getting a 26 change, a net change of 26 if
Yes,
I'm doing.
I apologize, I realized that on the way over here, that was a typo, and it actually is 38. And
Okay, so, I'm sorry, which one,
so it would be, the actual number is 643, for a total reduction of 38.
640, not 655?
Not the 655, correct.
643?
643.
643. That would be the 38. Okay.
And that number, again, includes the consideration of the 2-to-1 ratio for the EV,
Yep.
and then not counting any of the parking stalls for cart corrals, and then not counting any of the parking stalls for the drive-up program.
And you're still way above what's required by ordinance.
Correct. So if there's no, are there any further questions on the calculation of that?
Calculation,
So as I mentioned before, we received some additional feedback from the board asking why we chose the location that we did for the new stalls, and kind of contemplating whether it would make sense to put those stalls actually at the south end of the building. And looking at that, we have already had, as part of the previous application, the team door approved and installed and is operational now. And as part of the remodel, the back of house area is at the north end of the building and not the south. If you did a straight line from that team door all the way to the south end area, it's somewhere about 440 linear feet that they would have to travel, versus about 60 feet from this door to the location here. It also provides a lot more visibility and less confusion when somebody is to arrive at the site. As I mentioned, on Main Street, there's quite a bit of grade differential, and you're not able to see into the site at that back end. So if we had the beacons over there, you wouldn't be able to see them even as you pull in off of Promenade Boulevard. You would have to know that those spaces are situated in the back. As part of this overall program, what Target has been finding is that the majority of the people that are tending to use this program are people that may be not local or out of town, and they're not familiar with this Target, and they just want to get in and get out, place their order, and not have to worry about trying to find things internal. That, based on their research, has been the tendencies of the folks that they're actually getting utilizing this, the majority of. So with that being said, this location, its proximity to where the team door is and where the internal operations of the building are, makes sense from how close the personnel have to travel. It is located, you can actually see from the aerial that the higher density of parking tends to occur closer to where these doors are. We're removing the 12 existing that are kind of more so central to where it would make more sense for folks to park, and moving that to more of the perimeter of the parking field. So those prime locations are being reestablished as 18 additional standard stalls. And the location of this helps to cut down on confusion from anybody coming to the site that may not be familiar with the site. They can very easily see where they need to pull into to utilize this program. And with that, there's anything additional from the professional's letter that you would like me to address, I can address that at this time. Or if there are any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mitzman. Yeah, I'd like to open up to the board for any questions regarding your testimony, as well as any of the questions that were posed by our professionals as well.
I just have a question, there quite often. And I know that the congestion there is pretty tough with cars, right? Not turning quick and, all coming in and out of that area. Is there a reason why you didn't put I guess it's best on this, between Home Depot and Target, there are other spots there where, the team member door, they could get off from the sidewalk? Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, so we actually did look at that today after we received the letter. And if you go into, being at the site and looking at Street View as well, a lot of Home Depot's operation for the outdoor nursery occurs in that area. And what we could see happening is that those spaces might end up getting utilized for folks that are doing a bigger order at Home Depot to pick up their plants, and then they're utilizing those parking stalls and taking them up. And then there's also more pedestrian or potentially more pedestrian activity going on there where people aren't necessarily paying attention because they may be backs turned to the drive aisle and looking at the plants and not paying attention to what they're doing. So we didn't think that that was necessarily a great area for this.
Got it. Is there a plan for traffic congestion to reroute how people pull in and pull out there? That area, actually, I don't park there with my kids on purpose because of how many cars come in and out. I get really nervous of them pulling in. I park on the other side near the EV stations.
You drive behind the building, there's less traffic. You come up from the backside, and then you can catch those spots along Main Street.
All the tricks. All the tricks. I'm going to do that
Now I
next
just
time.
broadcast it. live,
Darn it.
Secret's out.
Secret's out.
So by way of what we are showing here, which also I think may open the question to just the stop control, and we figured that this would be something that came up, is that this location of the stop does slow down that traffic, but we understand that there's also the potential for some queuing to occur here as this is free flow. It may make more sense, which I'm not sure how Home Depot would receive it, to take that stop sign and actually bring it to the other side of the intersection. So you have a stop control off a Promenade and then a stop control over on the Home Depot side to kind of slow things down a little bit. And then still have the stop for pedestrians within the crosswalk so people are aware, and then still have this stop sign as well. I don't know if that's something that the board would be open to or supporting. I'm not sure how Home Depot would take that because that is on their property.
Maybe a solution to that would be to work with the traffic safety unit of the police department.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a traffic expert, but would you be willing to? I think the conversation also about Home Depot, if our traffic folks in our police department said, hey, here's a recommendation, it might also help with Home Depot versus what the planning board says.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like this is an ongoing problem regardless of this application for the overall development.
Challenging at times, and I think your comments, even if you look at, I think A1 is what we labeled this. I mean, you look at this and you can clearly see on the map, on the overhead, Home Depot's got all their parking spots along that side occupied with outdoor stuff. I think that four-way intersection is always a challenge because it's not well marked. That's just my.
And I don't know the traffic implications, right? I would assume that people are in a store longer than they would be pulling up there, so I could assume that there's going to be more traffic, right, of people pulling out and in. So I just know there's congestion now. There might be more congestion then. I like the stop sign idea from Home Depot, although I'm not a professional by any means on that, because I know people can go straight fast and then the congestion comes from the turns, right? People can't turn fast enough and then they get bogged down for trying to find a parking spot. So,
And
You're also decreasing, though, the reality is those 22 spots or whatever for the pickup, you're decreasing foot traffic. So if you took that and shifted it to the south end, like some folks have suggested, all those cars that are going to go for pickup have to drive through the regular shoppers who are pushing their carts and don't necessarily look where they're going or don't stop their car. So in some ways, I actually think it's safer having that at the northern end, because the only people crossing in that crosswalk really are the Target employees and a couple shoppers.
I like it better than where it was.
Yeah, you're actually decreasing the foot traffic in there and limiting it to a couple people.
but if you're saying that most of the people who use these spots are people from out of town who don't know it, then they probably will be driving a little bit slower and looking around and whatever. That could back up into the main entrance area.
Pluses with minuses.
Yeah.
So would that condition be appropriately that they would work with the Township Emergency Services to review the circulation plan and then implement any reasonable suggestions? Is that all right?
Yes.
That's the gist of what you
Well, I
want?
was just throwing it out as tonight, so, yeah. I do have, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
I have a question. On the beacon, there was some discussion of 1 versus 2. Why can't we put 1 beacon in the middle of that cluster of parking spots?
So the positioning of the 2 beacons as it pertains to the length of the overall parking area, they found that it helps to bookend the beacons and the parking so that it makes it more clear as to this is the start and stop of where those locations are. So we have 1 beacon placed here, and then the other beacon placed all the way at the end of the parking area here.
You know, you said those beacons would work off the development lights. Would those beacons turn off when the store is closed?
Yes, I believe they would be on the same timing schedule as the rest of the lights. They really don't give off.
Rest of, I guess there's some parking lights that are going to be on overnight there from a security point of view.
Yeah, so those would be more so tied to any illuminated signage for the actual Target,
Okay.
as they wouldn't be in operation while the store is closed. Those are, again, those are self-contained, they're solar powered. They don't really give off a whole lot of light. They're backlit, and it's just the small 4 square foot area at the top, which has the car and the Target symbol.
If I could refer to number 11 of the planner's report, on the subject of lighting, if you could just clarify, the type of lighting you're proposing on number 11, you're talking about additional lighting that's above these new stalls, correct? Or this is general parking lot safety lighting?
Correct.
Okay. And that would be essentially on the same schedule as the beacons would be?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and since we're here tonight to talk about a relocation, but also for an expansion, I want to stop short of not discussing something that's not being proposed here tonight, but I'm looking a little, future-proofing this scenario here. Are there any shopping trends or market trends that are essentially taken into consideration when we're thinking about an expansion of this type of thing? I'm thinking in another couple years, will there be, another pandemic, or is it just the market trend in general that's having people switch to this type of drive-up?
Yeah, so what Target is seeing across the country is that there is a increased need for this use, and it has gained popularity not only through the pandemic, but post-pandemic as well. It proves to be, I've got 2 small kids myself, and it's a lot easier to just order something online, have somebody bring it to my car, than have to worry about carting them through the store just to go pick up 1 or 2 things. So they have seen that these numbers for each of these stores that they look at the projected numbers as well based on what they're seeing. So this does have room for some additional expansion as well. So it's not like they're going to be here next year or next month or whatever asking for, hey, we need 4 more spaces. So it does take that into consideration.
Okay, but would you say the potential does exist, for example, with that whole first row there, knowing that most people don't park all the way to the east, or to the west there, that we could see a potential for future expansion in the years to come?
Speaking and hypothetically, yes.
Okay. And what would that do essentially to the requirement for additional lightings or beacons? Or even just take into consideration the councilman and Mr. Cora's discussion about the traffic pattern there. I'm just looking for a way to kind of just make sure that we're kind of shaping the traffic pattern properly here.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and not necessarily something that I could opine on at this time,
Sure.
Given the information that we do have. I just know that this application considers some projection into the future as far as how many parking stalls they think they would need for the operation.
Okay.
If we're, I'm just looking at this and playing devil's advocate, if you will. So if I was coming in off of Promenade Boulevard, you have a small, it's not going to show on that one. So that map there, if I came in off of Promenade Boulevard and I'm coming up that center aisle between Target and Home Depot, could we put a sign there at that little entrance for the drive-through pickup, which would then, and they could come in, there's a center island with a tree that basically make a right, make another right, and come around and come up. You know what I'm trying to say?
That little end.
To guide the traffic into here
Here.
rather than up to here.
Yeah.
I thought.
I mean, if it,
But I wondered if it's people who aren't familiar with the area, if it would start to back it up out there. That was my only other thought.
but you can just turn in right there.
Yeah.
You're reducing that traffic in that four-way intersection.
Yeah.
That sometimes people don't know what to do there.
Yes.
Even if it takes,
Yeah.
even if it takes a quarter of the cars and they go that way.
Better.
That's where we turn all the time, just to avoid.
Have your customers there
Yes.
too.
Yeah, I think that's something that we could work with the township professionals on.
Does that make sense? Mr.
Well, you
Peck?
could have it with the traffic.
Sense for the development.
I don't know how you memorialize that, but.
Well, it can be part
You're
of.
talking about diverting the traffic into there.
Yeah, because then if I come in here, and I can just go to the parking spots right here.
Right.
The issue that we all have is this four-way intersection
Right.
up here.
So, okay,
Just
I'll try to
signage,
figure,
which is direct.
by the time it comes time for a motion, I'll have some language put together on that.
Yeah, because you could just have signage to direct them that way.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Mr. Magora?
Do you have any historical data as to how many times that parking lot has been totally full?
That I do not have, but I could
181?
work with Target to
Well,
see what information they might have.
It's on the Patriot.
in all fairness to Target, that parking lot fills up regularly
The Patriot.
from people that park there and walk to the Patriots game.
That I understand, I've seen
So
that.
I think there's two pieces to that. What's it look like on Black Friday versus baseball season?
The reason I ask is that there's a lot of impervious surface because of this paving. Looking at this, and I know it's only a photograph of one particular second in the past, looks like it's about half full or less with automobiles. The reason I'm asking is because, again, it's impervious surface, a lot of it, possibly sometime, maybe we just didn't need it. I know we do have the ordinance that says so many parking spaces for a building, and I'm just wondering if we're being a little too conservative asking for the number of parking spaces.
Yeah, understood. As part of the proposed application, we are trying to very minimally impact the existing development as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's really, at its core, a signage and striping application.
Yeah.
And the site does fit the ordinance for the overall parking. And we are, by way of considering the cart corrals and these spaces, in essence, reducing that overall parking number down to under 100 differential from where it was, 100 and almost 140, 150.
I'm not asking you to tear up the parking lot. I'm just thinking, in the future, if similar applications come before us, a number like that, if it's 50% full, 50% of the time, or it's 75% or whatever, some statistical analysis.
Yeah, we can work with Target to see if they have any numbers or any data for this store that shows what utilization there is of the parking area.
Non-baseball utilization.
Well, to that extent, how would you be able to accurately quantify that?
When the
There
store's
it's
closed and there's
during-
still a couple hundred cars in the lot during a baseball game?
Yeah, it's not fun.
Outside base.
Yeah, so we understand the ask. We are just trying to limit as much as possible the direct impact to the overall operations and the overall layout. But thank you.
As far as the drive-through stalls go, these are going to be generally restricted to any typical parking, correct?
Yes, they are signed for drive-up only. If you turn to, I have to flip this around. Turn to sheet C 2.0, the detail sheet. You'll see that the stanchion signs are for drive-up. And then we also have striping in the actual space itself for drive-up. And as I mentioned before, each one of those stalls is specifically numbered so that the person that arrives can inform the app which location that they're stationed in.
Those signs two-sided?
They are two-sided, yes. So there's 11, and they are located on the most northern side at the head of the stalls. We have wheel stops proposed as well to keep people from running into them. But they are double-sided.
What do they do with cars that park despite the massive amount of signage that they'll be at the location?
So that's something we've been asked in the past. What Target has seen is that tends not to really be much of an issue, and that if it does begin to become problematic for that particular store, they can take action, but they really haven't had that be a major concern at any of these stores, and they've done this all throughout the country at this point.
Were there any of our professionals' comments that we did not talk about that you would have any objections to complying with?
So the major ones were in regard to the location of the actual stalls. We discussed how we decided on the actual location.
We talked
of
about
those.
that one.
Yep. There was a comment in regard to providing additional EV However, there's already EV on the site, and we are more than compliant for the ordinance, even with the reduction of the cart corrals and even with not considering those stalls, the drive-up stalls. And apologize, just bear with me here. I want to make sure we
Yeah, no, that's
actually
fine. I just-
capture the big ones.
If our planner was here, she would have asked this question, so.
Yeah. There was a comment in regard to the overall lot coverage computation. So that existing landscape island is currently gravel. And what we would be looking to do is replace that gravel with a mulch, which would be better suited for the spreading English yew, which would tend to be a little bit more pervious than your gravel would.
Yep.
So that 50 square foot is really negligible in the grand scheme of 11.36 acres, where you're currently 88% lot coverage and the requirement is 60, so it's an existing non-conforming condition, which arguably, if you're looking at the permeability of the gravel versus a mulch, it's kind of a trade-off there.
Are there any other questions from our board in light of our professional's absence regarding the planner and engineering report?
I did have one additional that I noticed on here. Item number 10, in regard to additional grading for ADA compliance. As part of the duties required for the team member to be able to bring the cart out to the folks utilizing this, they need to be able-bodied to be able to push the cart. The ramp that we have proposed is not intended for ADA path of travel. It is in there as a ADA-style ramp for typical compliance and constructability. However, that's more so, we try to stay within that same kind of tolerance for the cart and not having something that's too steep.
When you say ramp, can we just clarify? We're talking a ramp at that employee entrance? We're talking a ramp to the parking area? Where's that ramp located?
So the proposed ramp is at the curb line adjacent to the store.
Okay.
That's in line with where the team door is.
We're talking a ramp from the curb.
Correct. So it's a curb ramp.
Understood, but so I guess if I'm playing devil's advocate from a planner point of view, on either side of the drive-through pickup spots, are there any handicap spots that a consumer who wants to go in that entrance slightly to the left of the employee entrance would be looking for that ramp?
So all of our existing ADA is to the plan right of where these stalls are. And the intent of these stalls is for, people not to
Correct.
getting out of their vehicle.
Understood. But I guess the question is, could somebody be looking to use that ramp from an ADA compliance point of view? And I guess the simple question is, would that ramp be ADA compliant if somebody wanted to use it, or you don't know, or it would not be?
The ramp itself would fit the requirements per the ADA code as far as slope and the constructability of how that gets installed. ADA path of travel, I do not see anything on the plan that would lend itself for somebody wanting to go in this direction, as there's no ADA compliant stalls in this location. So there would really be no need for anybody to be utilizing that.
Are there any other points that you'd like to bring up from the report, or?
No, that's all.
Does the board have any topics that they'd like to share based on Mr. Mishma's testimony or in response to the planner's report? Any additional commentary? We don't have any professionals here this evening, but I'd like to open it up to any members of the public that wish to comment Mr. Missman's testimony. Please come forward at this time. Seeing none, I can close the public portion, this portion of the application. Do we have any other witnesses this evening?
No, I don't have any other witnesses. And I would like at this time to move for acceptance of all of the plan set as well as the exhibit that was presented this evening.
Okay, Mr. Peck, have we satisfied all conditions and requests?
Yeah, it's just the board in its deliberations, they are looking for a number of bulk variances, which would be C2 variances. So in your analysis of the application, you have to find that the application relates to a specific piece of property, which of course it does, that the purposes of zoning would be advanced by a deviation, by these deviations from the zoning ordinance, that the variances can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, and that the benefits of the deviation would substantially outweigh any detriment, and that the variance will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance. And the conditions that were discussed, other than the standard generally applicable conditions, are that the applicant would work with the Township Emergency Services to review the circulation plan and would implement any reasonable suggestions. And then also, they would work with the township's professionals regarding the viability of what I'm calling the intermediate parking lot entrance for use of accessing the drive-up stalls.
Thank you, Mr. Peck. Any closing comments?
No, we would just ask that the application be approved.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and close that portion of the meeting. Was there any other comments?
I do have a question, because I thought I read in here, and there's some confusion, the beacon, is it flash?
No, so the beacon does not flash. It is just a consistent illumination.
On the planner's memo, it says that we need to give a variance for the flashing sign. The last item on page 2, the top half, the last line of the chart is asking for a variance.
So I think that may have been a typo. If you refer to item 12, in regard to the beacon lights at the...
That's what I thought, but there was conflicting, so
Correct.
I was just trying to review what variances we were approving, and,
Yes, so the beacon does not flash.
okay. So the only variances we're talking about is the number of parking stalls, because they were previously, for whatever reason, approved. 50-foot, square foot improved lot coverage, maximum area post panel sign, maximum area beacon sign. Is that correct?
I don't think that we are seeking any relief for the parking count. We are compliant with that, even with the reduction with the cart corrals and the...
That's just a variance because of what was previously approved?
I think technically it would be an amendment. They're amending the site plan, so I don't think it's a variance, but I think it goes with the amendment of
Was
the
this a
prior
redevelopment? This
site.
wasn't a redevelopment.
No. No, it's just they had site plan approval and they're amending their existing site plan. So they're changing the parking count. It does remain compliant, the number of stalls, but because it is changing what was previously approved, that falls under the amendment of the site plan. as opposed
Gotcha.
to being a variance.
Okay.
Any other
Sorry,
comments?
I'm good with.
No, good, very good. Any comments from our board? Any comments from the public? Okay, hearing none at this time. Mr. Peck, we have amended with that flashing sign, right? We've nixed that?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'd like to close this portion of the application and open it up for board deliberations. Ms. Sikora?
I like it. I think it's adapting to what the needs are. I do think it's in a better area of the parking lot. I'm worried about the congestion, but happy to hear that you're willing to do some things to try and make it a safer place. That's about it.
Ms. Chartowitz?
I agree. I don't really have any major issues aside from the potential for the congestion there, but if, as long as you're willing to work with our traffic experts, then, or emergency services, then that would be fine with me.
Mr. Wang?
I don't have much concerns. I think this is a well-designed application.
Mr. Wang. Mr. Magura?
I think it's a pretty straightforward application, and I think it shows an attempt to make life a little bit easier for the shopper. So I would agree with that.
Councilman Ring?
I think there's some potential here to improve existing conditions, given the potential to work with the traffic safety unit, as well as providing some opportunity for drive-through customers to enter the parking lot directly off the access road between Home Depot and Target. So I'm good.
I would agree with all the comments thus far. I find it of great convenience. I just also would like to caution that we have to maintain the navigability of this parking lot for now and for the future. And I appreciate you willing to work with our township's traffic engineers. So with that, I'd be willing to approve it as well.
Need a motion?
I'll need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
That's Councilman Ring and Ms. Sikora. Ms. Probst, could I have a roll call, please?
I could add, I meant to add earlier that the fire marshal reviewed the plans and he had no comments either. So, just for the record. Chairman Bethany?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. McClure?
Yes.
Ms. Sikora?
Yes.
Mr. Wang?
Yes.
Ms. Charterway?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Yeah, she said this one might.
Okay, moving along this evening, we do have some other business here. We have a courtesy review for the Somerset County Vocational Technical High School, that's also known as 14 Voc Drive. And who will be guiding us through this review this evening? Okay.
I almost guessed that. I don't want to go too far out on a limb.
Wasn't sure, yeah. Wasn't sure with everyone else out there, right?
Tell the dad on that?
Good evening. Sure.
I'm having a hard time
Is your-
hearing you, and we're also streaming. Is that on, or? No,
No. He might have turned it on and off.
I just need to hold it a little closer. Suzanne's coming.
And if you could also just identify yourself for the record, even though this is a courtesy review.
Can you hear me now? Is that better? Better?
Yes.
My name is Carrie Zagarsky. I'm from USA Architects. I'm here to represent Somerset County VOTEC. I'm here to present a new project that they won through a state grant called Securing the Children's Future Bond Act. Went out to all the VOTECs, and they won $23 million to go ahead with this project. This county is also funding part of the project. They put money towards a new auxiliary gym. So the project consists of an auxiliary gym and a brand-new building for career and technical education. As you can see here, I have the campus plan. The new auxiliary gym is about 11,000 square feet. It's going to be in addition to their existing gym building. The career and technical education building is a standalone building on the campus, and it's about 37,000 square feet. There won't be any need for additional parking. There's plenty of parking down here already in front of the new building. Just quickly, I'll go through the plans for you. The Career and Technical Education Building is a two-story building with a green roof. I'll go through the programs really quickly. There's a lobby space. They have a MEME lab. There's a combination of labs and theory classrooms. MEME is mechatronics, engineering, and advanced manufacturing. They have global logistics, HVAC, and R lab, biomedical, and health occupations. And that's all on the first floor. Second floor. The second floor has a small admin space up above. They have computer science, a general classroom. They have restaurant entrepreneurial management and finance. And so that's the career and technical education building. I also have a plan in here of the gym addition. So on the plan here, you have the existing building G, which is the gym, and then there's a building F up here connected by an existing corridor. And we're going to add the auxiliary gym right kind of in between. So that consists of a new gym, a gym office, new toilet rooms, and gym storage. And then I just have for you a couple renderings of the Career and Technical Education building. It's going to fit into the campus. It's going to be made of brick and metal panel. It'll be consistent with the look of the existing campus. This is the front of the building. This is the entrance coming down from the campus above. And that's my presentation. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Zagarsky. Does the board have any questions or any general comments regarding this expansion of the Somerset County VOTEC?
I just have one. I saw that it's a non-sprinklered addition for the gym. Is there a reason for that?
Well, all of the existing buildings are non-sprinklered, so code-wise, we're keeping it under 12,000 square feet, which allows us to put an addition on that is also non-sprinklered. The new building will be sprinklered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just the addition is non-sprinklered.
I'm sure that was a question a lot of us had on our mind.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, the existing buildings aren't sprinklered right now.
I understand, but, you know, you think of a hardwood gymnasium floor, polyurethane, like that, and then a storage room, like, to me, there's just,
Yeah, I think
there's potential there for things to happen.
And because it's connected
Yeah.
to the rest of the building.
there is a firewall separating it from the existing building,
Okay.
so there is a separation there.
How long is the firewall rated for?
2 hours.
And the current gym and the other building are not sprinklered either?
Correct.
So if the structure's under 12,000 square feet, then it's exempt from sprinklering? Is that?
Yes, it's an addition. Yes, it's an addition, so it had to be under 12,000.
I didn't either.
So besides proposed building I and the gymnasium, the only expansions are essentially these two. I love the renderings, by the way. I'm
Thank
excited.
you. We have updated renderings. We did actually just drop off. They had an open house on Saturday. So thank you.
Given the size of the piece of property, and I'm sure there's no, even with the addition and a new building, from an impervious coverage point of view, there's still a lot of property there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do a calculation or no?
Personally did not do a calculation. We do have a retention basin, that we're putting in.
It's everything behind.
That's right, yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
Didn't they
There's-
say that?
they go all the way to 280, I mean, the amount of green space they have there.
Does the, I'll ask, the expansion, will it require any type of stormwater surveys or management reports?
Yes, I believe we are, I don't know exactly what we're doing with that, but I know it does.
Okay.
Sorry, I can get back to you on that. if you wanna know.
But you are putting in a fire alarm system.
Yes. We are also upgrading some of the components of the system to the whole campus as well.
We always ask questions about stormwater, especially after having seen what can take place in this township. So,
Yes.
thank you for entertaining that. Any other comments from our board?
Questions? How many students do you have now, and do you anticipate an increase of students with these buildings?
There is an increase of students. I believe I apologize, I do not have those numbers with me right now. I believe it's going to possibly be an additional 4 buses, I know that.
Just thinking about the traffic, the increased flow of traffic, if there is an significant increased number of students.
We have not looked at a traffic study. We did not think it would impact the traffic with just the 4 buses.
You good?
I'm good.
I have a strange question, but not really. So for the auxiliary gym, if you can maybe go back to A100, the first page. I'm looking at this one, okay. There we go. No. It's our top page that we got.
That's this one.
Is it? Okay,
This is
all right.
the colored.
So if I was coming down Vote Drive and I pulled into the parking lot, from the parking lot to the proposed gymnasium, is that, is there any elevation change there? Is there stairs involved? Is that straight?
Yes, there is an elevation change. We have ADA access coming up to the entrance to the gymnasium. You can also get into
So there is 35 years in EMS, God forbid somebody gets hurt, gymnasium, can a stretcher get wheeled into the gymnasium, or is there steps going to be involved?
No, there's a ramp.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll ask another question about the gymnasium, the structure itself. Is there any proposed or potential for solar paneling on top of the roof of the gymnasium?
No, there is not proposed solar paneling going there.
And no power generation or refrigeration on top of the gymnasium? Or
No, we do have rooftop units.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we have 2 rooftop units on top of the gym and 1 smaller one that's over top of the office and toilet rooms.
So the auxiliary will have 1 rooftop unit on it?
2.
2, okay.
And I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. In the new building, is the elevator large enough to accommodate an ambulance stretcher?
Yes, it is.
Deep enough?
Yes, it's deep enough. I researched that, actually. You have to have your door
I'm
offset,
pleasantly surprised.
centered, and so that you can get the gurney into the elevator.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I'll do another one. Is there any intent to use this construction for educational experience for your students?
The actual construction of the buildings, no, that has not been discussed.
I'm not saying they're going to have 16-year-olds
No,
operating
I
heavy
agree. That would
equipment.
be a good experience to walk the students around. I know that horticulture is going to be involved somewhat in the plantings around there. We do have a green roof. It's not occupiable, though. They decided not to go that route to allow the students on top of the roof. But horticulture will be involved in the landscaping and everything.
I think you teach electricians, plumbing, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Certainly going to have that there.
Oh, yes.
And even
there's a-
have them review the drawings.
Yeah, there's a whole HVAC lab that's going in, and, you know, there's condensing, there's everything you learn with HVAC in it. So I don't know if they're going to go as far as letting them review the drawings. We did talk about the students designing some of the graphics inside the building, because we're going to have graphics on the walls for each program. So.
The problem is when they fail their final and the building doesn't work. When the toilet doesn't flush, or, not that anybody would, but, I don't, you know, there's certain things you can do safely and there's certain things.
I will bring that up to the superintendent.
I think it would be an excellent
It is a
opportunity
great idea.
for some of the students. Even casual walk-arounds, maybe not walk through the construction site, or walk around, or use the drawings as instructional aids.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, it's to see the drawings and see it going up at the same time. I think that would be a great experience.
Looking at these drawings are done by an engineer, not an architect. So many square corners.
Oh, yeah, we don't have anything round in this building.
What's timeline?
It's going out to bid the beginning of November, and the move-in date is fall of 2025. They're gonna,
So probably not shovels in the ground till spring
probably not.
at the earliest.
I take it back, it wasn't done by an architect. I apologize,
For the record.
for the record.
Any other questions for Mr. Gorski? Any members of the public like to question Mr. Gorski?
I'm going to say no.
Board Attorney, Mr. Peck, given this is a courtesy review, I would imagine each member of the board has a...
Just if there's any, really, this is an advisory type proceeding, so if the board has any recommendations they'd like to make to VOTEC in connection with this project, you know, basically now's your chance to do that.
Strictly a recommendation.
It's a recommendation, they're free to disregard. But if you heard anything in the plans that you think you'd really, you know, like to bring to their attention, yay or nay, again, now's your chance. And I don't believe, because it is a courtesy review, that any resolution is required. It's just if, you know, I think a letter would suffice with whatever, either the board accepts the plans as is, or the board, you know, would make the following recommendations.
Do we make a recommendation given the potential occupancy of these, of the existing structure and the addition around sprinklers, or no?
If you feel the building, that the addition should be sprinklered.
I'm asking my colleagues.
Oh, okay.
She said they're upgrading all of their fire alarm systems in there, so I don't know. But you're more, yeah, you're more well-versed in the.
I'm not versed on the fire side, I just, you know, but just, in my mind, you know, you take a gymnasium, spectators, I'm assuming wooden bleacher, like, it's just the amount of wood, old dried wood, polyureth, like, I don't know, you know, I know it's not required.
You can recommend that they review it. Take a look at it. Yeah.
I think, you know, it's not our individual recommendations, I think recommendations should be collective.
Should be a recommendation of the board,
Yes.
so at least a majority of the quorum.
Just because I dealt with Carrie last week when she was submitting the paperwork, she was scheduling a meeting with the fire marshal. There would be some kind of pre-construction meeting anyway that would fall under fire subcode, but you could recommend potentially that she also meet with a pre-con meeting a little sooner than they normally would, so that fire subcodes also involved. to have to be built to code anyway, but
So maybe a recommendation that there be a courtesy review by our fire official, given the occupancy of the building and lack of sprinkler system, for any recommendations he may have. Is that a reasonable?
Sounds reasonable, yeah.
Good to me.
That's pretty collective to the board, absolutely.
We did request a review from the construction official. However, he is recommending we have a contractor on board first. And we needed a letter stating that I was at the planning board.
Okay.
So I appreciate your recommendation for the review.
It'll be in the letter.
Any other general recommendations? I think that's really the major concern that most of us have here, so. Any other comments, Ms. Zagorski?
No, I just appreciate your time tonight and taking the time to do the courtesy review.
Thank you for your patience while we talked about parking stalls.
Yes.
No, that's okay. I understand.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
and best of luck. Okay, Ms. Probst, I'm going to move along here, and I'm going to ask that one question. I think you know which question that's going to be.
Got a pile of plans there,
I
so.
see it.
I found the missing plan.
You did, okay.
November 21st is the next application. That is Solaris.
Mhm.
And then we have one meeting in December, which is the 5th,
Sorry, what was November 21st?
is Solaris.
Zolaris?
Yes, the first meeting in November is, I believe, the 7th, I want to say.
Yeah, the 7th selection, that whole week's, we lose the first week in November for everything because this room is utilized for early voting. So it's
Yeah.
closed to all township stuff.
We had held the date anyway, in the event there was master plan. We needed a meeting for that. So they were scheduled on the 21st anyway. So that's when they're coming.
Tuesday.
We have one meeting in December. We don't have anything on for that as of right now. And then just need to figure out whether the meetings will stay. As far as reorg is scheduled for the 16th. That's not a mistake. That was done last year. And we just have to figure out whether the meetings are going to remain first and third, or if they're going to revert back.
If they're going to revert to the way we had
Not sure
originally.
who makes that determination ultimately.
So you said the next meeting is November 21st?
Well, we have the November 7th, I believe November 7th is not even scheduled. Yeah, that was, November 21st.
We don't have a room for November 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the voting.
And then it's the 5th?
December 5th, and then January 16th. So as soon as I can get an answer on whether the meetings will remain on the 1st and 3rd for '24, then I'll put together a draft, I'll send out the dates, draft.
Do we know what we're doing on the 5th of December?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay.
The Board of Adjustment's heavier right now.
Regardless of whatever does or does not happen in the election, I can tell you that you will not see me sitting here next year, so.
We off-put you that bad?
No, it's 2 years, and we used to do a one-year rotation on the
Right.
Class 3 member, and we kind of shifted to 2 years, and I think 2 years is good. I mean, at least from my perspective, coming on last year, I feel like you spend a couple months. By the time you get acclimated and feel comfortable, like, your year is winding down.
Right.
So I think 2 years is a good.
So there'll be someone else
Yeah,
on the council?
yeah, you can, so. You'll have a different Class 3 representative from the council next year.
Does it make you sad?
Huh?
Does it make you sad to leave us?
Oh, you're like,
Well, we certainly have appreciated
Yeah.
his insight.
I know.
You know,
Ask all our first responder questions, and, the width of the roads for fire trucks, and, yeah.
listen, we have even more fire experts on the council.
We'll have to keep that alive for him.
So another councilman will grace his board then.
Another council person.
Okay, yep. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no other business, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, Mr. Corey. Councilman Ring, all
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.